And welcome into Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for the highest quality care. You can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any orthopedic injury or concern. And you can log on to their website, se-ortho.com. He is Dylan Denmark. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. You are Florida Gator fans, and you're heading to Oxford tomorrow night for a battle with Ole Miss in a game, Denmark, that I don't think really anybody is talking about the X's and the O's or the battle on the line of scrimmage or how Florida can maybe ruin Ole Miss's season 2 years in a row. No, it's all about the weird dynamic that is the Lane Kiffin saga. Florida fans potentially playing against a coach that might be coaching them in a matter of months.
Yeah, I don't know of a single person that cares about the actual game that's going to be taking place tomorrow. When you have a game like you did last week, and we'll talk a little bit about the Kentucky game and how bad that was and how embarrassing it was. I don't think it doesn't really matter, but it's surprising to me. I haven't seen it this week. Maybe you have. Florida Gator fans forgot that every time Kentucky plays Florida, Kentucky plays its best game of the year every year, at least since 2020 or 2019. So they beat them by 31, which was just pathetic. And now you play a really good team in Ole Miss, a team that, even though they were probably more talented than a year ago on paper on the roster, they seem like they're better this year. And Lane Kiffin's a good coach, and no matter who the quarterback is, the same as the beginning of the year, didn't matter. Go with a different guy, Trinidad, and he's pretty good. And Ole Miss is a 13-point favorite, 13.5. I'm surprised the line hasn't moved more to Ole Miss's favor. And this feels like this is going to be a Ole Miss pick your score kind of game tomorrow.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Quickly back to Kentucky last week. I mean, what do you really need to say? That was the bottom falling out. That was the wheels coming off. And you and I kind of talked about it last week. Now, I'm not going to take credit for it because I picked Florida to win the game. I think 10-9 is what I said. But I remember last week during Hacker After Dark, I'm like, well, at some point, I do wonder if the wheels will come off. I do wonder if the gas will be out of the tank. And that's kind of what it looked like. I would hope that's what it was. I would hope that Kentucky team is not 38-7 better than Florida as much as it was just Florida running on empty amidst everything that's gone on this season.
Yeah, the injuries are piling up pretty bad. I mean, for tomorrow's game, you got nine guys out. Good news, you're not going to see Caleb Banks probably tomorrow, but you might see him for the next 2 weeks coming back from an injury. He hasn't practiced at all since the LSU game. Yeah, I mean, we've all watched football long enough to where when your defense is the main strength of the team and the offense is bad, we've all seen football long enough to where when the defense doesn't have a good game, you see blowouts like that. And I'm sure we'll get into it too. DJ Lagway being benched, Tramel Jones goes in. Wasn't much of a change in the offense. It was just like, I don't know. There was not much of a change at all because his offense just straight up is not good at any point, at any facet, whether you're talking about the offensive line and receivers. And Jaden Ball's still good. That's about it.
The thing with Jaden Ball, the offensive MVP of the year. I mean, that guy plays his heart out every game, and you hate to see him not get rewarded more with people around him. DJ Lagway has been bad this year. I mean, let's call it what it is. He's been a bad quarterback. If you take a look at all 16 starting quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference, DJ Lagway is probably not in the top 10 right now. I don't, in fact, quite frankly, I don't know how many quarterbacks you would take DJ Lagway over the way he's playing right now. Doesn't mean he's not immensely talented. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Texas, and I know he missed the entire offseason, and that's the talking point. But I mean, we are in the middle part of November. He started 9 games, right? To our knowledge, he hasn't missed a practice in 2.5 months. And you go out there and you look like that. Has he been coached properly? No. I don't think you could debate that one either. But just his mechanics are awful. His confidence is gone. and last week you had to pull him because it was just bad. You put the true freshman in there to see what he has. Now you're going back to Lagway tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to matter. I think it's going to be more of the same. And I have real questions, Denmark, as to whether DJ Lagway will be a Florida Gator in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know if that really matters. So we just had a comment over or under 2 picks in the first half. I'll take the over for DJ Lagway. Yeah, I mean that's going to be a talking point after Thanksgiving. Um, I mean, if he stays, cool. But regardless, if he stays or not, you gotta get it. You gotta get a quarterback or two in the portal, because what you have in that room right now is not going to be enough to be successful in 2026, regardless of who your coach is, whether it's Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, or whomever the field is. It's just not cutting it. So you can't have DJ Lagway come back and not have anybody else. I'm sure Tramel Jones will be more improved, but again, you got to have someone else in the portal. And the next coach you would expect to be an offensive guy. He should be able to find somebody in the country that can at least provide a spark or a juice and be good enough to at least start for the team.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings you Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network for the highest quality care. You can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any of your orthopedic injuries or concerns. You can also check out the good Dr. Kevin Murphy Thursday mornings in the 7 o'clock hour with Jeff and Dan on the drill for his weekly analysis of injuries in the world of sports. And as always, we certainly appreciate the great folks at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for their continued support here of the Gator Bites podcast. All right, tomorrow night, I guess we'll get to the game in a moment. Let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about, and that's Lane Kiffin. And I'm getting a sense, Denmark, and again, I'm not much for message board fodder, things along those lines, because I don't think anybody has sources. I don't even know if Lane Kiffin knows what he wants to do. But one thing you can gather, at least from social media and message boards this week, from the Ole Miss side of things, is I get the sense there's starting to become a little frustration about the unknown. The fact that this has now been going on for a couple of weeks with Florida being open and LSU being open and Lane Kiffin at the top of presumably both lists for those schools. Ole Miss is in the midst of one of their greatest football seasons ever. They're a shoe-in for the playoff if they win out. And yet these Ole Miss fans are having to deal every day. Is Lane leaving? Is Lane not? He's being pretty quiet on the topic. And I'm starting to sense that they're not necessarily turning on him, but there is starting to be some frustration as to why they don't have clarity one way or another about what the future holds out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look around the country and Matt Rule signs an extension with Nebraska and Signetti signs an extension with his team, and Lane Kiffin's been quiet on, at least his front from all intents and purposes on what he's going to be at Ole Miss. I will say for Gator fans, it is a lot better, for every day or week that goes by with the whole LSU front. It seems like every 3 or 4 days, it's okay. Kelly gets fired. Okay, the governor calls out the AD. AED's gone. Now they're saying that they're going to fire Brian Kelly for cause. You're owed $54 million. No, we're going to try and get you down at $27 million. Thanks, but no thanks. You can't fire me for cause because I didn't win enough, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I would say for every day that goes by, it seems like it's pretty good for Gator fans because one from the LSU front and then two with Lane Kiffin. You got to feel pretty confident. At least that you should at least feel like you are the best job open. Because I don't know about you, Hack, but when that LSU job became open, I was like, LSU's better. Now, I mean, it's close, but I'm like, if you're a coach that's on the open market, I would say that LSU is better than Florida, just barely. Everybody varies, but I would say LSU's better. Right now, I don't feel that way.
Well, Matt Moscana is one of the main guys out there. He's with ESPN Baton Rouge. He's been doing it for years. I heard him on the Buddy Martin show yesterday, I believe, and he still thinks Lane Kiffin is the top choice for LSU. He would be at the top of the list. But I agree with the governor thing out there, and now you got the Brian Kelly, 54 million buyout saga unfolding potentially in the court system out there. Not a good look for LSU when you're in the midst of a coaching search. And then that brings me to a couple of Ole Miss media guys. And again, take these for what they are. They're media guys that, Neil McCready's one that's covered Ole Miss for, golly, 20 plus years. He was asked on one of the Ole Miss sites yesterday. Granted, it's middle of November, and that's what even the questioner asked McCready. He's like, I'm not going to hold you to it. You can put a lot of caveats on this, but if I were to ask you right now, do you think Lane Kiffin will be the coach of Ole Miss in 2026? McCready goes, yeah, it's hard because it's so early and there would be a lot of caveats and it could change tomorrow. But if you're asking me right now, I would say no, he would not be the coach of Ole Miss in 2026. And that's starting to be some of the vibes that you're getting out there. Now, again, we could pop up on social media and there could be a brand new contract extension in 5 minutes for Lane Kiffin. But as you mentioned, Signetti at Indiana, Rhett Lashley's another one at
Mm-hmm.
SMU. You mentioned Matt Rule at Nebraska. These guys' names have been linked to jobs, and they're signing extensions with their teams to remain. Kiffin's not doing that. In fact, Kiffin's going one step further. He's starting to troll on social media a little bit. Kiffin seems to be enjoying this a little bit back and forth between Florida and Ole Miss. And I kind of get that. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're the most wanted coach in America right now, and I do think it's interesting that he is having fun with it on social media.
Oh my gosh, he retweeted DJ Lightweight got benched like Saturday night. He earlier this week, Lane had a presser and he was talking about what you want, in a college football job. And he listed a whole bunch of things. And also to mention, Lane Kiffin's the favorite to be the coach at Ole Miss next year. He's a favorite to be the coach at Florida. He's right there at the top for LSU. Oh, and he's the favorite, odds-on favorite to be the coach at the New York Giants. So, I mean, all this is just talk, but I will say, um, I'm not gonna trust anything until a tweet is put out by Pete Thamel, like what we saw when Billy Napier got fired, when it is officially official. Because all this is just talking. I said this right when Napier got fired. I don't think even Lane Kiffin knows. He probably has a better sense now than he does a couple weeks ago. But I mean, so much can change from now, and you still have another 3 games. Lane Kiffin go to the SEC title. You get the playoffs. I just think that your mind can change from any time in the next month.
The New York Giants thing came out of the blue. I don't see that happening. That's just simply Jackson Dart, right? I mean, if Jackson Dart wasn't there, would people be connecting the two dots?
Maybe I don't know. I guess, but I just don't. I don't know. I guess that would be the only thing that if you were to put the odds out there. Okay, this job is open. I mean, I've seen Belichick's name. I saw Albert Breer? It was one of the NFL reporters said that he would walk over hot coals to take that job for the Giants and get out of Carolina. Um, yeah, I guess that would be the only, the reason why he would up and leave, because Jackson Dart has looked pretty good. The Giants haven't looked good, and then Jackson Dart played for him. I guess that would be the one thing that, people would jump on.
All right. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings you the Gator Bytes podcast every week here on the 1010XL.com podcast network. Go to se-ortho.com for all the information there. For the highest quality care, you can rely on our friends over there at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. I guess we'll finish up on the game in a moment. Quickly to basketball. You lose to Arizona, come back and you beat UNF. A close win over Florida State, a much improved Florida State team. And the basketball team is here in Jacksonville on Sunday. You and I are based in Jacksonville with 1010XL Radio, and the Gators will be here 8:30 Sunday night. It'll be a late nighter because they got the Jaguars in the afternoon. They want to let the Jaguar crowd clear out. Then the Gator crowd will arrive, presumably some Hurricane fans probably as well. A 3-0 Miami team. Miami hasn't played anybody yet. This will clearly be their toughest game. But a chance for Florida to kind of reestablish themselves after that loss to Arizona. They already beat Florida State. If they beat Miami, I think that gets the Gators back on the right track.
Yeah, shooting's still been an issue. The threes. I know you've been panicking. You've been tripping. that they haven't gotten threes. But
It's been bad.
the one thing that I'll say that they need to fix is the turnovers. They had 11 turnovers in the first half against Florida State. That's more of that's something that's not easily fixable, but I would say you need to fix first. I think the shooting comes eventually, or not even at Thanksgiving. I'm not going to start tripping over the shooting yet, although it has been a concern. Um, so yeah, the turnovers were what kind of hurt Florida. I mean, it was like I think a tie game at the half, or it was within a point or two, and you had 11 turnovers.
Yeah, Florida State was actually leading by 3 at the half, so Florida had to come back. And it's a double whammy because the Gator guards aren't shooting very well. And you got Denzel Aberdeen at Kentucky now go for 26, hitting 4 threes for them in their loss to Louisville. So a little salt in the wound. But we knew the Gator front court might be the best front court in America, and they're playing like it. Halk has been amazing. Chinulu had like 16 rebounds. Hanlogden's been good. Condon's been okay. So I'm fine with Florida, and if they ever start making shots, they could be pretty good again. And again, Gators and Miami Sunday night here in Jacksonville. Are you going to that game? You were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I still haven't got tickets yet. I'm not gonna lie, man. This time change has been kicking my tail. So once it gets to like 7 o'clock, I get really tired. But I don't know. It's still to be determined.
Yeah, it's an 8:30 game Sunday night. I believe ESPN. So going up against Sunday night football certainly, but if you're a Gator fan, you get national TV Sunday night, ESPN Gator basketball against the Miami Hurricanes. All right, Florida Ole Miss tomorrow. Um, is it a game in the fourth quarter? I mean, it's sad that we have to ask that, but that's kind of where I'm at. Is this thing even competitive with 15 minutes to go?
Probably not. It's probably a 17 to 20 point game. Probably at that point. I just don't know how you have any faith in the offense doing anything. I do think they're going to play better than they did against Kentucky. Teams usually that play pretty poor usually have a good week of practice the following week, and they come out with at least a better effort. Put it bluntly, at the minimum. I do think they play a little bit better, but I don't know what it's going to mean because I mean Lane Kiffin's just going to dice up this team. You have too many injuries to compete against one of the best teams in the country, and you don't have good depth on this team. So you got to rely on a bunch of backups, and it's not going to bode well. I don't think.
No, I would be very surprised if this thing is competitive in the fourth quarter. I think I said earlier in the week 34-16, 37-16, somewhere along there. I would probably take Ole Miss and the 13 right now and feel pretty confident about that. I don't think it's 45-3, although I could be wrong. But give me Ole Miss 34, Florida 16. That's the kind of game I see.
Yeah, I feel about the same. I feel like a 38-17, 38-13. I just think Ole Miss on offense is too good. Whatever. Florida's never going to be right on the defensive side. I think Ole Miss is always going to find a weakness. And they're going to do what they want to do, even if they have a slow start in the first half. I think they eventually pull away.
And the absolutely crazy thing, we haven't really talked about this because, I mean, really, who cares? But it is an interesting footnote. Florida loses tomorrow night. They're 3-7. They are a 350-pound defensive tackle interception away from being 2-8 if they lose tomorrow night. And one of their 2 wins is against the top 10 Texas team. I mean,
Yeah.
and they won that game by 8, I believe. So Florida thankfully won a couple of games to save face, or they could be 1-8, 1-9 here, which would just be absolutely ridiculous. But that's where we are. That's the reality. Florida is struggling in a big way, and there's 3 games left before we'll hopefully have some clarity on who the next head coach is going to be in 2026. Good luck to you guys. The FHSAA state playoffs tonight. Myself and Marty Lee, former head coach at First Coast High School. He's the athletic director at First Coast. We'll have the Friday night lights for you tonight on 1010XL because Denmark, with the Baldwin coaching staff, you guys are getting on a bus heading to Tallahassee this afternoon for the first round of the state playoffs.
Yeah, the 4 and 5 seed is probably the best game in the region for 2A and Region 1. A lot of points are going to be scored, I think. Florida High and Gage Screws, the quarterback for us. They two of the most prolific passers in all of 2A in the state. I think they're both like top 5, top 6 in the entire state. They can both have over 2,000 yards passing. They got a bunch of good guys. FSU High has won like 5 playoff games in the last 3 years. They talent wise, they've been a little down. They had Malachi Dans, who's now at Florida State now. But yeah, we've scored 382 points, I think, this year, a school record through 10 games, and the defense has not been there this year, and we like our offense and what we can do, and the only question is can the defense get a couple stops, because we've lost 3 games, we scored 42, 48, and 49, so. And those are all 3 playoff teams, and obviously we play a playoff game tonight, so it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we get the win, and more than likely, winner of this game is going to play bowls.
Yeah, over 20 teams in the area here in Jacksonville are in the state playoffs beginning tonight. Good luck to all our area teams, and we'll have victorious head coaches on this evening on the Friday Night Lights post game. Florida and Ole Miss tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. You'll hear it on 1010XL Radio. Denmark and I will be back next week for Gator Bytes to preview the Tennessee Volunteers rolling in to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings it to you, the Gator Bytes podcast, right here on 1010XL.com and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page.